foreign over in Sri Lanka. So, welcome to Sri Lanka, and I'm sure that this is a little description about the harbour for you to understand where you are. Right, any questions? Not yet. So let's say we are in Colombo now. Colombo is a small city. The total area of Colombo is 25 square kilometers. Colombo city limits are 25 square kilometers. For administrative purposes, it is divided into 15 administrative districts. Colombo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Each one has its own name. Colombo 1 is Fort area. This area is referred to as Fort. Now, right now you are in Colombo 1. The fort is because during the British period, the Dutch period, there was a fortress enclosing this area. So as of today, there are no ramparts here, no fortress, but still we call this area a fort without a fortress. So Colombo 1 is fort area, or probably referred to them as downtown area. With the harbour, with all the other infrastructure here, so it's one of the busiest places in the city. So we are outside the harbour now. We are coming into the main trading area of Colombo. There are a few interesting features in this. If you want to take photographs, you might as well keep your cameras ready, because we cannot stop, for long on the streets. Maybe for a brief moment, maybe 10-15 seconds, so you can take a picture from one side or the other. See, there is also another development here. We have reclaimed 2.3 square kilometers of sea. That's going to be a new port city. On the right hand side,
trees.
You will see that it's a new addition to this country. 2.3 square kilometers of land area. Already seasand built, and it has built up, and the construction work should start very soon. You can see the port city on the right hand side. $1.5 billion spent for the reclaiming of this land. It's a Chinese project. It's going to be a financial hub in the near future, probably by 2025 or up to 2030. The place will be completely developed. There will be high-rise buildings, and it's going to be a city by the side of Colombo city. That's Port City on the right-hand side. No, this is a Chinese investment, out of which there's a certain area that is given on lease to the Chinese government. The rest of the area is for the Sri Lankan government. So the Chinese can recover their money that lease again. Chinese investment. So they are completing the whole thing, but for that they are given a certain part for their to recover their income to the expenses. Here we come to the main center of what you see on the right hand side, the brown building over there. Let us see. We come back this way, but of course that's the old Parliament House. Parliament was shifted to another place, and after that it became President's office. It's our President's office now. See, what you see on the left is the first 5-star hotel built in Sri Lanka in 1971. In 1971, this was called Ceylon Intercontinental. Ceylon was the name at that time, and later it changed as to Kingsbury, first 5-star hotels. But before that, in Colombo, we had only 2 hotels. That's dating back to 1860s. So we'll see both of them on the way. But this is the first 5-star hotel built in Sri Lanka. Here we come to, that's the central bank on the left hand side. central bank on the left hand side. In front you can see the clock tower. This was built in 1860 and it became a lighthouse in 1865. There's a lighthouse at the top. Right now there is no lighthouse because it's inside the city. Earlier there were no buildings on the left hand side, so that's why they make it the lighthouse also. See, the architecture of this place is what is belonging to the British period, colonial period. Most of the construction work has been done from 1850 onwards. That's commercial buildings. But the building that you see on the left-hand side, in front, was the British governor's residence. The British came to Sri Lanka in 1796. As one of the first things that they did was to build the governor's residence. On the left-hand side is your British governor's residence. Now there is no British governor here. It belongs to, at least used by the president of Sri Lanka. But president comes here only for official matters. He is not staying here. The general post office, this too was built in 1860s. Postal service was introduced to Sri Lanka by the British. That's all. See the statue here. Sir Edward Barnes, the British governor, in 1820s, he was the one who was instrumental in building the roads as well as railroads in Sri Lanka. So when you say the distance from here to Kandy is 72 miles, starting from this statue, that's where the zero mark is. Look at these buildings, some of them on the left-hand side, under restoration work and still, so well. There is a rule in the city of Colombo, or this area, fort area, that they cannot have any new architectural design buildings. They had to stick to the old British architecture. The other building that was destined to demolish and put up high-rise buildings, they stopped that, and now the government has asked them to do restoration work. That is what is happening on the left-hand side here. These buildings are under restoration work. See the red building on the right-hand side? Former department stores of the British. During the time that the British were here in 1796 onwards, the goods that they wanted was not here, not available, so they had to have some stores and some shops. That's what they built it for, that became a department store where you can buy your shoes and clothes and liquor and so on. You can see in front of you, you see that's the entrance to the harbour. Formerly, all the sailboats coming here, they anchor it here and then come out. And as soon as they come out, what you see in the corner is the hotel that I mentioned earlier. Out of the two hotels that was before 1971. That's a Grand Oriental Hotel on the left-hand side. Once again, you can see the harbour out there. So we are going along the harbour. So still we are in fort area. Another building under restoration. This has taken almost 8 years now for the restoration work. See, fort area was enclosed by ramparts and fortress. Along with there was a waterway going right round. So actually, fort area is a little island by the side of this. That's a waterway here. As soon as we see, here we are on the bridge crossing the waterway. That's the waterway. It goes right round the city of Fort. So that's Fort area, little island right side the island. Now we come to Peta area. Peta means outside fort. When you say outside fort, here you find what's needed for the day-to-day use of people. The places of worship, there's a Buddhist temple on the right-hand side. And there you find all the market areas, for various goods that you need, day-to-day use. There's a main street and cross street, each cross street carries a different type of trade altogether. There is one for electrical goods and whatever that is needed for day-to-day fancy goods that is required. Then the second one is for clothing industry, thread, needles, clothing, fabric, even finished garments and so on. Everything is all down the second cross street. Third cross street is for hardware. Fourth one is for groceries and sundries. You get dal, rice, sugar, you name anything, wholesale and retail, you can pick them there. So concentration of particular trade in each area. So that's what it is. As I mentioned that there are places of worship in this area also. See down the first cross street, if you look on to your right, you can see just a glimpse of Hindu temple, only the top part you can see, but we will see a better temple, Hindu temple later. There's a Hindu temple, you can see only the top of the temple in the corner over there. Down the second cross street there is a mosque, one of the largest mosques built in Sri Lanka, and it was built in 1908. 1908. More than 100 years old. There's a red mosque on the right hand side, down second cross street.
Oh yeah, see that there? Don't know how good I'll get it because of the sun.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, sorry, it's the sun. I won't get it at
Red
all.
mosque built in 1908.
Mosque. It's a mosque.
Hey, Sri Lanka, we have 9.3% Muslims. Very busy on Fridays.